Filmmakers who refrain from naming their main characters very often think they're saying something more universal and profound than their projects convey, and that's the case with Drive. Drive asks the questions we all have. Are we in control of our own destiny? Are we inherently good or bad? A neo-noir film about a loner who gets on the wrong side of LA mobsters while trying to help a woman he has fallen in love with. Drive is the third film in a row by director Nicholas Winding Refn that explores violent lone men, while the previous two films featured lead characters who embrace their capacity for violence. Driver is searching for more. The opening scene is special in so many respects. From the first moments, we have a hook, something suspenseful and interesting happening that grabs your attention. There are no guns, no dialogue, no screaming. We only hear the police, the radio, and the car. In this scene, we get all we need to know about Driver. He's capable, he's careful, he's quiet, he's talented, and his job/role in this movie. We know exactly who our protagonist is and what to think about him. We get the idea of what this movie is going to be, what's going to happen, and what it'll be related to. Ryan Gosling's incarnation of the hauntingly lonely Driver is a beautifully realized, complete performance. He understands not just the psychology of the character, but how he fits into the tone and pacing of the film as a whole. Gosling instead quietly dives into the emotional black hole at Driver's center and takes us along for the ride. The Driver drives stunt cars for the movies by day, and by night he hires out his services for criminals who need getaway cars. He works with hard luck but cheerful mechanic Shannon on both jobs. He's incredibly skilled, lives a quiet, simple, zen-like life, and has all his bases covered, until he meets his pretty neighbor Irene and her young son Benicio. When Irene's husband is released from prison, the Driver reluctantly agrees to help him on a job that will get him out of debt and out of trouble. But everything goes wrong, and the fallout leads back to a pair of sinister thugs. Can the Driver steer a way out of this mess? While his actions romanticize his character, we begin to sympathize with his wants and the very real struggles he goes through. Given how isolated the Driver is, we can certainly believe that his interactions with Irene and her little boy are a new and refreshing experience for him. From what we see of Irene's life, it's also easy to understand why she so readily takes to her helpful, capable neighbor. We feel a kind of overwhelming pull between these two individuals that makes us root for the relationship. We know that these are two cautious souls, and we can logically see where this is going. The relationship between Driver and Irene focuses on powerful and meaningful glances. While these scenes lack dialogue, they certainly don't lack chemistry or significance. This is why the director describes the movie as an audio-visual presentation. Drive's prominent use of silence and visuals to emote feeling is key to the payoffs in dialogue and sound. As such, we hang on to every note and syllable uttered. The film is about what drives him. Prior to meeting Irene, he merely exists, but afterwards his life has purpose, leading him to put everything at risk. So Irene is the cause of his undoing, but only in the sense that she awakens the humanity within him that for whatever reason was long dormant. He becomes driven by the need to see that Irene is protected and provided for. She doesn't seduce him, nor is he driven by desire. The film explicitly depicts the attraction between them as being played out through him adopting the domestic role of father and husband, complementing the lyrics of the song A Real Hero playing on the soundtrack. From what we can see about Driver, he's a mysterious person that looks not to stay in the same place, a wanderer of sorts. From the beginning of the movie, we see instances of his true nature coming out and the people he's involved with. He's a bad person, but we want to see him succeed. He sees his opportunity to be the real hero when it comes to saving Benicio and Irene, a concept that's not in his nature as a bad guy. He chooses to put on the mask in order to mask his true nature as a bad person. He so desperately wants to be the good guy. The mask is an attempt to hide the person he is by being the hero for once. It's a modern adaptation of the scorpion and the frog fable. Driver is the frog, hence the scorpion on his back. Although he believes himself to be the scorpion, he is unable to remove himself from this life of violence and crime. And he knows it. He chooses his words and actions carefully, but inevitably gets drawn in. As a result, he poisons the relationships he has with everyone around him. There's a saying, we judge others by their actions, but ourselves by our intentions. We aren't told much of the driver's intentions. We just see his actions, most of which are pretty terrible. Does his intentions matter? Maybe, maybe not. Does good or bad even exist? That to me is what the movie is about, not car chases or pretty cinematography, although I've enjoyed both very much. To continue on this point of his thoughts and his intentions, I feel as the film progressed, so does his good intentions, but also as his intentions became more good, so to speak. Like how he wants to help Irene with shopping at the beginning, then gradually leads to wanting to help set her free from her husband's life of crime. So do the consequences and his actions become more bad. An example being, when he wants to help her get away and help her start fresh, he stomps a guy's face on the elevator, immediately contrasting his good intention of helping her to almost completely alienating himself from her. I love this aspect. In a way, it shows how he seems so calm and calculated with everything he does and what he says. He never slips up, but yet when things get personal, it spirals out of control. Maybe this is a reflection of how he may truly not be in as much control as the audience and himself think. When it comes to the cinematography, I noticed a couple of things. By day, Driver is camera-facing, in neutral normal clothing, but by night, he's shown from behind, drenched in shadow, wearing the scorpion jacket. We see less of the jacket as Driver gets to know Irene, but it returns when Standard is freed from prison. The soundtrack has such a specific sound that most composers don't use or underutilize. The low and high frequency gaps creating unease to the viewer. Danish-born director Nicolas Winding Refn isn't exactly a household name, but he might be after Drive. Refn finds many tiny moments of warmth, adoration, and humor within the film's steely surface. Every actor delivers his or her best work. Gosling does a fine job as the clever, restrained lead, convincing us he's fully capable of both kindness and ferocious brutality. Mulligan is warm and gentle. Isaac also delivers a complex character and performance as a man who rightly assesses the romantic threat posed by the newcomer in his wife's life, but who also knows when it's time to accept help. When Refn was asked what the ending of Drive was all about, he answered, "Well, all my films always have open endings, all of them, because I believe art is always best when you talk about it and think about it, so forth. Maybe once in a while I've gone too far, but I always believe in finding the right balance." And in Drive, he lives on for more and new adventures. The trailer completely misrepresents the film. It doesn't linger on the driving or action scenes. There's actually very little of either. What it lingers on are the story and the characters, the looks, the thoughts, and the feelings. It's not confusing or hard to follow. It's not high art. It's just very richly made. This is one of those movies where the cinematography and score really are characters onto themselves. The movie tells a straightforward story in a way that's not at all difficult to take in, but it does so with such feeling and passion that it feels like something more. Drive isn't an action movie at all. While I understand why they made the trailer the way they did, I almost feel as if they missed the point. It's a simple tale, yet with a haunting beauty that I didn't expect, and which will linger with me for quite some time. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like this video, comment, and subscribe. I really enjoyed making this analysis. This movie is really special to me. Once again, thank you and goodbye.